Good afternoon, everybody. It's the Put Up. I'm A.K.A. the Wizard, and this is Season 2, Episode 11. And boy, do I have a special guest with us today. It's the craziest thing, because we usually get like all these people from the United States, but today, coming from all the way over from Scotland, we have Lewis Stevenson with us. What's up, bro?
Hello, how are you doing over there across the Atlantic?
Man, yeah, it's like, is it similar weather there right now, too? Like, how's your
I
weather
don't know,
over
I feel like I shouldn't complain too much about the weather, the cold, because I feel like Canada gets much colder winters over there. I think we're about 4 degrees over here at the moment.
Oh, we got you beat right now. It's 6 degrees here. But it should be like snowy. It's the weirdest thing, like how this stuff changes over time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been quite mild here, actually. I think it's been colder elsewhere in Scotland. I'm up in the Highlands in Inverness near Loch Ness. Normally,
Okay.
coldest kind of area, but it's been a bit warmer than it has been other places in Scotland. But still,
Yes,
it's
yo,
cold enough.
let's talk about that thing that we were going to talk about. Kick things off today. Scotland in the running for the Soccer World Cup.
Yeah, the
Be
big
like the
event.
host of it, right?
So the big event of this week that everyone in Scotland is talking about is the World Cup qualifiers, soccer world. Well, as you say soccer, as I say football.
Right, football over in Scotland, right?
It's a big deal. So it's the qualifiers to qualify to play in the World Cup, which is happening next year in Canada, USA, and Mexico, I believe. And Scotland haven't played in the World Cup since 1998. So,
oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, so
so it's like the biggest thing that could happen for the country, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's and in Scotland we have kind of, in terms of football, we have kind of a history of glorious failure where we'll just sort of be pipped at the post by something happening and we'll sort of crash and burn and we're out. But it was a game on Tuesday against Denmark that we had to win. And it was a brilliant game. And Scotland played, Scotland didn't play brilliantly, but we scored some cracking goals.
They played terribly, eh?
Well, we scored, and then the other team Denmark equalized, then we scored again, and then Denmark equalized. And so if it was a draw, we were kind of going to the playoffs. And then we scored a beautiful, a guy called Kieran Tierney scored a beautiful goal just on the kind of, I think the 92nd minute or something
Nice.
to get us win. And then the very, very last kick of the ball, somebody scored from a guy called Kenny McLean, scored from the halfway line. He lobbed the keeper, and it was, I think the whole of Scotland just went mental, including my dad, who might be watching. He doesn't really like football. He hates football. He was watching, and he sent me a message saying something about how it was great that we won. So everybody in Scotland is thrilled by this. It's brilliant. It's really good. It's nice, sort of feel good, nice vibe. There's a lot of not great stuff happening in the world, and it's nice to focus on something positive for a while at least. So so we're coming to Canada next summer.
Yeah, we had just had almost that happen a couple weeks back with the World Series with the Toronto Blue Jays in Canada. Yeah. So it's almost like that, but we didn't get to celebrate at the end. They lost, so.
Oh. Sorry.
Yeah, whatever,
Yeah, I mean, things with Scotland, if we'd lost, we would have sort of celebrated anyway and had a party, but just meant that we were able to celebrate.
We were partying up until the loss,
But yeah, no, it's been great. It's exciting. And I mean, for me, I am old enough to remember that the last time we were in the World Cup in '98, and I've got a lot of good memories of that. And I don't sort of follow the kind of the club football all that much, but I do. I'm quite kind of into the national football, or international football. So yeah, that was great. Really good.
Yeah, nice. Okay, well, let's hop into this interview, bro. We want to hear about you today. So let's go all the way back to the very beginning of where you started creating music. Like, how'd you become an artist? How did the creative journey start for you?
Wow. How far back do you want to
go? All the way back, baby.
Yeah. I grew up in a house where my parents, my whole family were quite into music. My parents big into the Beatles. My dad played guitar in bands when he was younger. no offense to my dad, but I think he only knows about 4 chords, but still, that was enough to get him by. But you know, there was a lot of music going on, and you know, I remember listening to kind of the likes of the Beatles and so on from, you know, a really young age, and
Me too, actually. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it was always sort of playing on vinyl as well, probably, and then when I think I was about sort of 7 or 8, I started getting cello lessons, and that was my first musical instrument. And it kind of just went off from there. And then I'm also really lucky enough that I have 2 brilliant older siblings who are quite a bit older than me. It's sort of 6 and 8 years older is the gap. Is that right? Yeah. And they're just super cool. And they, you know, introduced me to lots of music that I wouldn't have been introduced to without them, if that makes sense. Sort of at an age sort of younger than maybe I would have normally.
Kind of influenced by it, right?
Absolutely. So, and I went through the stages. I think particularly my sister. She was big into Bon Jovi, and I was into Bon Jovi. So then I was into Bon Jovi at the age of 7 or 8, and then then she went into The Cure, or they both went into things like The Cure and REM and all that kind of stuff. And that was a big influence for me. I should just say, just while I'm talking about my siblings, I'm actually doing this from my brother's house.
Nice.
This is his studio. This is his stuff. He does like synth music. So all these twinkling lights. I have no idea what any of this does, but he can.
Man, that's so cool.
So, he's on Instagram, Light Beyond the Storm. Go and check him out.
Shout out, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but yeah. So they're a big influence on me, and in terms of the music stuff. And then I hit the kind of teenage years, kind of 12, 13 or whatever, and I can pinpoint a moment in my history, where in my timeline, if you like, where something changed for me. And I was I'd already started playing in a band, I think, when I was about 13, in a school band with some friends. It's bass guitar. I kind of learned it, taught myself, and we were doing some stuff when we were playing. And it was fun. But there's a moment I was sitting in my granny's house in Dundee. We were visiting there, and I was watching Top of the Pops, which was a really popular sort of music show in the UK. It was ran for decades.
What is it called? Sorry?
Top of the Pops. Top of the Pops. So they'd have bands and artists coming in. You know, it was the chart rundown and all the rest of it. And there's a band called Manic Street Preachers, who I don't think they've ever really translated across to Canada or the USA particularly.
I've never heard of them, as far as
they're originally from Wales. Well, not originally, they are from Wales, and they appeared on the Top of the Pops, and just my mind was just blown. They sort of, it's indie rock metal sort of. It's not really metal, but they're just, I don't know, something clicked for me. Just the way they looked, the way they sounded, the guitar solo. Was a song called La Tristeza Durera. The lyrics, that I didn't really understand what they were about particularly, but that kind of flicked a switch somewhere in my little teenage brain, and then I was off. I was like, this is amazing. And they really did change my life. They introduced me to a lot of kind of through them, a kind of gateway into literature and art and other music and all sorts of stuff. And they're still my favorite band, the most influential band in my life, I think.
Oh man, you gotta meet them. You gotta
I would absolutely love to. But it's funny because they don't really influence necessarily my sound. Like I don't sound like an indie rock kind of metal band. I don't have, they sort of, when they started out, they sounded a little bit like Guns N' Roses, but Guns N' Roses with a bit of intellect, a bit of lyrically. And so I don't think they necessarily influence me musically, but I think something about lyrically they do, and maybe something about their attitude. I'm not sure, but yes, that was absolutely the moment where something changed for me, and music became something different, something more important, like something, a matter of life and death almost. And so then I played in bands and in high school, and then I played in a band sort of for a few years, in Scotland, playing around. We had a go at kind of doing stuff, recorded a couple of singles and so on, and then I kind of drifted away a little bit. We sort of split up. Actually, our drummer was from Canada, Neil.
Nice.
If you're watching, and then I sort of went traveling for a little bit, and I ended up kind of slightly randomly playing some music in bars, playing covers in Singapore, and I think a couple of times in Australia as well. And actually, it was when I was away, was when I think I'd sort of written songs a little bit before when I was a teenager, like rubbish songs. There's tapes somewhere that I recorded on my Tascam 424 Porta Studio. They're just terrible. So when I was away, something I kind of something sort of happened, and I sort of started writing some songs again, and I had a few sort of ideas come to me. And then when I came back to Scotland, I sort of followed that a little bit more, and I started playing. I was playing more in bars, and so I lived in Edinburgh. I was playing cover sets and so on in Edinburgh, and then just gradually I started just writing a little bit more. Things sort of were coming to me a little bit more, and I think probably in the last sort of 3 or 4 years is maybe where I feel like I've entered a purple patch, if you like, of
A purple patch.
creativity,
Nice.
and just being more creative and writing more songs, and here we are.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, and I got to hear one last night. It was great. And it's crazy how you like take this little bit of time away from music in your career, like too, right? It happened to me too, where I was really into it at like teenage years, and then like I kind of took 5 years not really doing much with it, and then got back to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was definitely a sort of, I was still playing guitar and I was still sort of doing stuff, but I wasn't really kind of, I certainly wasn't really writing anything, and I wasn't sort of playing in front of people or doing any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, and then sort of came back to it kind of gradually. Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Well, describe to everybody your style, like your sound that you've been able to create with your music since you started writing.
That's such a difficult question to answer, isn't it? I think it's acoustic singer-songwritery stuff.
Yeah, like I get touches of like folk music, like that kind of thing, right?
The label I keep kind of going back to is kind of indie folk.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, like it's not really folky in the sort of traditional, certainly not the traditional Scottish folk sense, but I think there's elements of that, and again I think maybe lyrically in terms of kind of trying to tell stories, there's an element there, and I try to, sometimes when I'm writing songs I can hear sort of like fiddles and mandolins or something in the instrumentation. So yeah, so indie folk kind of yeah, singer-songwritery acoustic kind of.
Well, maybe you got to throw some fiddles in there once in a while, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean I will. There's definitely some songs that I mostly sort of record just on my own. I've not kind of developed enough contacts to sort of form a band yet, but there's definitely things that are in there that I want to record that I'd like to sort of try and get some people into, to some other musicians to come in and do some stuff for sure. But yeah, no, I mean indie folk, as I say, is the kind of label I kind of go to. That's my hashtag that I use when I post things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how like because I've tried to form bands since then, right? I literally went on like coffee dates with people I didn't know to see if they could be part of a band. You know what I mean? Just like meet them and see what's up, right? And nothing ever worked out so far. Like I've been searching for years. I tried to get a drummer that I was playing back with like when I was a teenager to like do a project for me one time. He's like, nope, not happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Crazy how that works.
Yeah, because the sort of the band that I was in, that I played with sort of kind of semi-professionally, that was kind of a follow-on from the band at school. It was my best mate Richie. We've been friends since we were 5 or 6. So that was the band I sort of don't know how to form a band not with people that I already know. So
yeah, obviously that one didn't work.
I do have a couple of friends we've sort of started. We were kind of getting together just for jamming, just for a laugh kind of thing, and just recently they sort of said, actually, should we try some of your songs, which I thought was really lovely of them.
Interesting. Yeah.
So we've had 2 or 3 sort of practices where we've kind of been working out some things. Trouble is, time as well. Kind of when you get to scheduling things, people have loads of stuff going on, and that's how I ended up just, or partly why I end up just sort of recording things myself, or just doing, when you're writing songs yourself, you're kind of there's sort of limitations, I suppose, on what you write, or influences what you write.
Right. Yeah, your environment and stuff, right? Like where
Yeah,
you are
yeah,
sitting, what you have access to at that point in time, right?
exactly. So yeah, so that sort of scheduling thing can be tricky as well, and it's
Boy,
easier
do
if
I
it's
know about
just me.
scheduling.
Yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
gosh, you know?
It's easier if it's just me. You don't have anyone to sort of try and sort of arrange, I suppose.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure. Okay, well, where do you get your inspiration for like your music when you like where would the ideas come from? Like where do you draw this from to like create your songs?
yeah. So I think sort of musically it's kind of a bit of a yeah, can be different things. Sometimes I kind of something just sort of appears in my or comes to my brain, as it were. Sometimes I'll kind of hear like a little melody or something in amongst other
Out of
sounds.
the ether, you know,
Yeah,
just like
yeah,
bring it in.
yeah, absolutely. And so I sort of think, oh right, and I sort of try and record it on my phone and sort of try and remember it, and then try and sort of figure out, what chords go with that. Um, I think probably more often than not, though, it kind of comes from just sort of mostly doodling on my guitar, sitting with the guitar and doodling stuff and playing stuff, and then thinking, oh, that sounds quite nice, and then kind of trying to sort of find a melody or something that kind of
And
that
then
fits.
words come after that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I think normally the process is, yeah, that I'll kind of do something and I'll just sort of sing noises, and then
Really? Okay.
sometimes there's words that come sort of spring to mind, and just sort of come to sound natural at a certain point, and then I'll sort of try and sort of lever them into the lyrics. But also sometimes I have words that again sort of I pluck out the ether that kind of come to me, and I'll sort of scribble them down, and then sometimes they'll like fit in with a song that I've kind of written. I find the lyrics, the words are the sort of, in some ways, normally they're the most troublesome thing, the most difficult thing, because I take it quite seriously. I'm kind of that was a big thing with the Manics, to go back to the Manic Street Preachers. Their words, their lyrics were a huge part of who they were as a band, and they didn't write just your love songs or whatever. They wrote songs. I mean, I don't think they wrote any love songs. They have written a few now, but they're different kind of love songs. So they wrote about all sorts of other things, and I was sort of aware of that, and didn't want to, like, I want my lyrics to kind of mean something, or to be, yeah. I put a lot of thought into the lyrics, and so then that makes it more difficult, because sometimes it can take a lot of time for me to, like, I'll have an idea percolating for ages in terms of the music, but I struggle to sort of think about what to write it about. And then for other times, there's a couple of songs that I've written recently that just, it came out in a flow, and I sort of wrote it in half an hour. But I suppose the ideas, I take a lot of inspiration. There's quite a few songs I've written that are from kind of stories that I've heard, or maybe from books I've read or films I've watched or whatever, and sort of trying to recreate some kind of emotion or feeling that I've got from reading that book, or like I say, stories that I've heard. So I mean, the song that we spoke about, the Beneath It All, the Fire Burns There Still, that was inspired by a true, well, I say a true story. I've never quite been able to verify if it was definitely a true story, but I lived in Italy for a while, and somebody told me a story about this man who'd lost his job after working for many years in the factories in Turin, and he'd hadn't been able to find another job because the industry was just totally decimated in Turin. And then, after a few years, one day he was walking his daughter to school. And this was back in the 80s, so it was a lot of mothers were walking the children to school, and walked his daughter to school. In the school gate, she sort of she looked around, and she looked up at him, and she said, "Why are you the only daddy that's walking their kid to school?" And that sort of, that
Oh
affected
my
him
gosh.
quite deeply. And so he went home, and well, he did something pretty drastic. At the gates of the front door of the head office of Fiat, the owners of the factory, because of course they moved all the factories down to the south of Italy where it was cheaper. But like the head office, where all the powerful people earning all the big bucks, they stayed in Turin. And so, I mean, I'll just say it, if it's okay. He
Oh yeah, go ahead.
covered himself in petrol and gas and set himself on fire, to sort of stage a protest. And that was a story that really stuck with me. That
Oh
was
yeah, it would, right? Like,
20
oh
years
my
ago I heard that
goodness.
story, and like I say, I don't know if it's a true story, but it's such a powerful idea, and the idea and sort of the notion of the decimation of a community, of a town, of a city, because that industry has moved away just because of financial. That's a powerful thing that happens all over the world. In the UK, we had it in with the mining industry down in sort of Wales and northern England. In Scotland, we had it in Glasgow. The shipbuilding industry in Glasgow was just decimated in the sort of 50s and 60s, and that still has a massive impact on Glasgow now. Even in the Highlands, the Highland clearances happened about sort of 200 years ago, and that kind of caused a lot of, affected the Highlands quite deeply. And I mean, in America, the car manufacturing in Detroit. I mean, Detroit's kind
Oh
of
yeah, it's crazy
got,
what happened.
all these sort of different things. And so it's a story that's very about a very specific situation in a specific person, I suppose, in Italy, but it's kind of quite a universal thing as well. I mean, I tried to make it a little bit. For me, his actions represented some kind of hope, some kind of fire, some kind of spark that was still within that community, even though he did something pretty drastic. So it was sort of trying to kind of, I don't know, talk about the anger, the fire that's still in these communities, even though they've been destroyed. And so that's one example. But there's other songs that I have that are about sort of I try to tell stories, I suppose, in the songs, and so that can sometimes make it a little bit more difficult for me to sort of try and tell a story rather than just sort of saying something about how like I'm very sad or I love this person or whatever. It's kind of not to not making any judgment on those songs, but for me that's not what I want to express, I suppose. So some stories inspired by people I know. I've got a song also by a friend of mine who's passed away, sort of inspired by his life. He was a really interesting character. And then some about, as I said, stories from biographies I've read or films that I've watched or inspiration from there. So that's where that was a long answer to your question.
Oh no, it's okay. Like, remember how I told you how that song, when I saw the video, it like struck me because that's what happened to me essentially, right? I mean, I didn't set myself on fire,
No.
obviously.
But I mean, I was really touched that you kind of sent that message yesterday about that. It's such a lovely thing to feel that somebody connects with something that you've done. I mean, that's partly why I do it, I suppose. I'm trying to make sense of the world for myself, express something within me, but also try and connect. And I had to that does happen sometimes. People come up to me after gigs and we'll sort of talk about a certain song. I've got a song that I wrote that was sort of inspired by my grandpa, who fought in the Second World War, and he left he wrote a diary of some of his experiences, which you'd think would be quite interesting, but mostly it was kind of 7 p.m. on the 12th of November, eight mints and tatties for dinner. But there's some things where you sort of read in between the lines, and there's things that he hasn't said, and you sort of from conversations with him, we know what some of the things that he experienced and so on. So I wrote that song sort of inspired by him, not about him as such. And I played at an open mic last year, and somebody came up to me afterwards and said, "Yeah, I used to be in the army," and that song really resonated with me. It really sort of meant a lot to me to hear that. So thank you for playing that. And that was quite an amazing thing to make that connection with someone.
Yeah, that's wild, right? And the one thing you said struck me even today. And it's like that thing you said about like why didn't the girl talking to her dad saying like, why aren't all the rest of the men there, right? And I experience that now as a result of not having a job. Because
Right.
I
Okay.
walk my kids to the bus every day, and a lot of the times it's only the moms there or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
the dads have like home jobs or whatever, but like, why is this guy always here? Like, why doesn't he work? Why doesn't he do, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think I mean, I think there is still that sort of there's that societal.
But I mean, I do this now, so it's like
Yeah.
totally fine in my opinion. But they're like, what is this weird guy never working for, kind of thing, you know?
No, absolutely. No. there's societal expectations and so on, isn't there? Absolutely.
Right. It's the craziest thing. Well, we're gonna actually go hear that song and actually watch the music video right now.
Great, cool.
Yeah, let's roll it. We've heard so much about it. We just got to see it. Roll that clip.
It was 1985 when they came and stole my pride, and the men in suits came down and closed the factory lines. All the years I tried were to make the best of life, added up to zero at the bottom of their lines. Did they even know my name? Will they see the truth beneath it all? The fire burns, there's still a spark to guide the way between light and the dark. The towns and streets, as empty as they seem, are still filled with hope. In these sheds nobody tells jokes anymore, just dead machines and concrete scenes and whistles of the wind. The ghosts of lives we led, the paths we took instead. No one wants to give a ghost a chance to change. They broke my spirit, broke my soul. She only asked me why beneath it all. A fire burns, there's still a spark to guide the way between light and the dark. The towns, the streets, as empty as they seem, are still filled with hope. Still filled with hope. So I took the fuel and stood by the door, and I bathed in the light, and I bathed in the fire, and I bathed in the light, and I bathed in the fire. I bet now they know my name. Now they'll see the truth beneath it all. The fire burns, there's still a spark to guide the way between light and the dark. The towns, the streets, as empty as they seem, are still filled with hope. Still filled with hope. Still filled with hope.
Welcome back to the Put Up, everybody. I'm A.K.A. the Wizard, and we have Lewis Stevenson all the way from Scotland with us today. If you're just joining us, make sure you like, share, and subscribe below the channel here if you're not already, because there's tons of other ones coming on, and you got to go back and watch the other ones if you haven't. There's like 33 other episodes you can go see right now. So, but today we're with Lewis Stevenson. Man, that video and that song, the message of it, it was just like, it struck me because of my situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like all this stuff, man, like, oh my gosh, it's so intense for me because it's so like ethereal and like real to me, you know? Like,
yeah. I'm glad it's had that sort of, as I sort of said a minute ago, if you've got something that makes that kind of emotional connection with just one person, then
it was all worth it. Yeah,
magical
sure.
thing. Yeah, that's what it's all about, I think. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're gonna get into like the juicy part of the interview now. Struggles, tribulations, successes, all that kind of stuff. So what has been the number one hardest thing you've had to navigate since becoming an artist?
I mean, one biggest thing is it's time. Sort of navigating kind of when you're not able to devote kind of all your time. You've got other responsibilities, other things to do. That's a challenge, particularly when you feel like you're kind of getting these ideas. We talked earlier about where you get ideas from, and this sort of idea of kind of things coming.
When you're like writing them down or making a voice note in your phone, trying to like remember it on the spot, right?
Kind of running around your head, and you don't have time to actually just sit down and kind of get them out your head, I suppose. That's a challenge. But I suppose that's also a nice thing, I suppose. I mean, it's always a challenge just to sort of get your stuff heard as well. That's kind of the whole way things are set up these days with social media and sort of having to sort of push yourself out. Because if you're not doing that, then you're not even in the game, really.
You're kind of falling behind the curve at this point, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's something I've sort of tried to do a little bit more of in the last year or so. And the other thing, money is a challenge. You can do things on the cheap, sure, but you do need some cash to pay for things, to pay for even just to pay to get upload things to go out to Spotify and so on. And I think kind of away from that, those sort of practical things, I think the biggest challenge for me has been one of confidence, one of kind of feeling able to put myself out there, write these songs, put myself into these songs and get them out there. I have imposter syndrome bad for like everything, and so there's a bit of a sort of, there has been a struggle to kind of just to do that, to push to even just to write the things, let alone then record them and release things and go out and play things. There was a bit of a step there, because I know I was performing and playing in the past, but
isn't it crazy how like when you go do it again, all of a sudden it's like starting over from the beginning again,
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, also the stuff that I was playing in the band wasn't my stuff. It was
right.
I was sort of involved with the process, but they weren't my songs. They were Richie's songs. Brilliant songs. He's a brilliant songwriter, by the way. Bremner on Instagram. He produced that song for me, and
a shout out Richie.
Took some of the footage for that video. And I no exaggeration, I think he's one of the most talented, brilliant like songwriters and guitarists that you've never heard of. He's I think he's brilliant. But yeah, so playing my own stuff or writing my own stuff, thinking, is this good enough for people? Kind of, that's a mental obstacle to get over. I think I'm sort of at a point now where I'm sort of okay with that. I'm sort of over that a little bit, but it's still always a kind of, you write something, you're like, is this okay or is this rubbish?
Well, and that nervousness of like letting other people, they know it's yours, right?
Yeah.
They know that it came out of you and you alone almost. So it's like, now you have to take that step and just allow the people to see you almost naked in a way. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. Yeah. And then you go out and play them, and you're kind of you're standing in front of them naked.
Well, and then the reception you get, right, or not, is like the determining factor of whether or not you were feeling the right thing or not, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely. It's a complicated thing. It's especially when you're somebody maybe like me, it's just me and my guitar. I don't have anyone sort of behind me. I'm not kind of in a band. I can't sort of hide behind anything. It's just me. And then sometimes I played a gig a couple of weeks ago in Glasgow where it was literally me and my guitar. It was a properly kind of acoustic unplugged thing.
Oh, like no PA or anything.
No PA, nothing. It was just me and that was magical. It was a brilliant gig. Loved it. But it is you're there. There's
just you and you have to make it happen all by yourself, kind of thing, right? Yeah,
exactly. But yeah.
Okay, so like on the flip side of that, what has been like your greatest success that you've had in the music industry so far?
I mean, I think just doing it is the biggest success in some ways. Taking that first step that I took to go and play an open mic and play my own stuff at an open mic. That was a big thing. I mean, I suppose a part of the story that I missed out earlier was when I was in Edinburgh. There was a gentleman called Jeffrey Baines, who was I was kind of seeing sort of careers. He was sort of giving me. I mean, he's not a careers counselor or anything, but he was sort of someone that I was talking to about kind of where I was in my life and thinking about what I could do. What I could do with my life, I suppose. And he sort of really encouraged the creative thing in me as well. He sort of ran a couple of nights and encouraged me to. He gave me my first shot at performing, I suppose. And that was great. So that was the biggest thing, going playing like half an hour of my own songs for the first time in front of people. Thanks to, and I really put a lot of credit to Jeffrey for encouraging that and giving me the opportunity to do that. That was the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done, but it was also really it's just really lovely, really satisfying to sort of do that. And then I also think, I mean, I don't know in terms of, I don't know about success, but in terms of satisfaction, there's a song "Hungry Ghosts" which I think we'll play later. I went and that's the I went and recorded that. I think that's the only song that I've recorded properly, and I don't like just in a proper studio with somebody, a guy called Steve Bull, who is also on Instagram. Shout out to Steve Bull Productions.
Heck yeah!
And he sort of produced it, and it's in this lovely studio. We were talking about mixing desks earlier. This amazing kind of beautiful desk.
It's a sight to see when you get to see one, right?
Yeah,
like a proper space
right.
with all the acoustics around and all that stuff, right?
And with pretty expensive mics, better than my kind of Audio Technica AT 2020. And I think that song I'm really proud of. Probably most proud of all the songs I've written. Probably most proud of that song, and the recording I'm really proud of as well. There was a moment when we were recording. So again, it was just me and Steve, and I'd sort of done the guitar bit, the acoustic guitar bit, and then we'd done all the bits, and then I was doing the vocals, and he had me singing into like, I don't know, some incredibly
67 from
incredibly expensive mic. And we sort of did a few takes or whatever, and then I went through and we were listening to it, and I'm not ashamed to say that I had a little bit of a tear in my eye, I was sort of welled up, and I was quite emotional because I'd never really heard myself sound like that. All the times that I've recorded myself, it's been at home with a decent mic, and it sounded fine. But hearing me recorded like through this beautiful desk, this amazing mic, I sounded, I was like, wow, okay,
there's something to those things.
Yeah,
there is.
And so I think in terms of all the stuff that I've recorded and stuff that I've done, I think, if we're talking about sort of success in a sort of personal success kind of way, that song and the recording of that song, I think would be my greatest success thus far. It was
Well, let's talk about your setup for a second. So you said you use an AT 2020 most of the time, right?
Yeah.
And do you do that like? What do you put it into? Do you use like what DAW do you use? What interface do you have?
What do I have? I've got a Focusrite, just a wee Focusrite sort of 2-channel thing into my MacBook, which I'm using just now. Very, very simple, basic setup. I've got that. I've got a keyboard. I don't know. I'm looking around here. My brother's got an amazing bunch of stuff. I've got an M Audio kind of USB keyboard, and that's pretty much it.
Do you use the AT 2020 to do the guitar and the vocal? Like everything, right?
Yeah. So I've got a SM57. Is it the
okay?
Which I'll use sometimes as well for
like 3 and thing over there. Yeah.
So I'll use that for the guitar sometimes as well. I mean, when I'm starting things, I'll set up the AT 2020 and another vocal mic, and I'll just sort of track things that way, and then add stuff after that. I try.
How does that contrast? Like when you go to the big studio, they have like stereo mics going on, all this stuff just for a guitar take, right?
Yeah. yeah, it was brilliant. He was like, yeah, he had like when I was doing the guitar, the acoustic guitar, he had sort of two mics like this.
Right.
He sort of explained the reason for that, and I asked him why. He did explain it to me, but I can't remember now. Something to do with the phasing or something.
Yeah.
And again, you know, my guitar sounded the best it's ever sounded. And yeah, it was great. So yeah, my setup is very simple. And then if I'm doing something with the drums, I sort of go in and I use TuneTrack, Easy Drummer, and I'll use the little clips and sort of pull things together quite painstakingly sometimes to sort of try and kind of put things in the right place. Or I've recently I use Logic Pro, and so I've got into using the sort of session drummer thing on that. So
right.
I've got a couple of songs that I've recorded recently that I've just used that. They sound a bit different. Well, I'll talk about them later maybe, but yeah, no, I have a pretty simple basic setup, just something that's easy to do very quickly.
Yeah, we talked about that right before the show, where it's like the access to the technology, it allows you to be more creative on the spot because you just can like fire it up real quick and off you're going, right? Like
yeah, that's it. And I need to be able to, if I've got a window of time to try and do something, then I need to be able to just set up quickly and kind of do it. Yeah,
and it can still be sent to your buddy Steve, or it's his name, right? Steve.
Richie.
Oh yeah, Richie. Sorry. Yeah, you can still take that stuff afterwards and send it to him to have it mixed in the professional studio type thing.
Yeah.
Like
Steve,
that, right?
You're right. Sorry, you're right. Steve Bull that I recorded. Yeah. I've talked about two people, but you're right. Yeah, no, that's it. I could send him the stems and he could mix it for me. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's totally opened up the world. Like a lot of the clients that I work with now, that's how I get a lot of the stuff in. It's just like through email on a Google Drive type thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's coming from all over the world. So it's like the whole landscape has changed since like you had to walk your ass into a studio physically to like get that done, right?
Yeah. The as you say, the opening up, the accessibility of these things is kind of insane, and it's a great thing, brilliant thing, absolutely. There is also maybe something a little bit about that. Again, we talked earlier about the sort of the creativity that comes through limitations. If you've got sort of limitations, so like me with my very simple setup, I have to kind of keep things pretty simple and sort of do what I can with it. I mean, I say pretty simple. I've still got about kind of 10 guitars, so I kind of. But in terms of the recording setup, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, and it shapes the way your music sounds too because of that, right?
Yeah.
And the whole point is like showing artists that it's possible, that you don't need to have $1 million and all this clout and fame to be able to make something these days, right? You can literally just go out and spend a couple $100 and plug it into your computer and you're off to the race trying out something new,
Yeah, so you can experiment, you can sort of express yourself, you can, absolutely. It's so important. I think, kind of, I don't know what it's like in Canada, but in the UK, there's a lot of emphasis on, I mean, maybe it's taking a slight tangent, but there's a lot of emphasis on, I don't know, business, on kind of money making, all that sort of stuff, and creativity fallen by the wayside to a certain extent.
It kind of gets like pushed off to the side a little bit, right?
Yeah, at schools, there's less time set aside for the creative subjects. There's a lot of emphasis on PE and physical education, which of course is super important. But it's sometimes these things are at the expense of the creative stuff, the music, the drama, the art, and I think as a society we're sort of we're losing a bit of that little magic that allows people to express themselves and so on.
Okay, one more question before we go and hear that song. What is it called? Ghosts.
Hungry Ghosts.
Hungry Ghosts. Okay, do you do anything that you don't think any other artists do when you like record or something? Like some special thing that only you do?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I probably don't take as much time over it as other artists. I do things in a bit of a rush and kind of like hope for the best. Probably not, to be honest. No.
Okay.
I do, as I say, I try and keep things pretty simple. I mean, it's all me. It's me that does the backing vocals and the harmonies, and does all of that kind of stuff. It's apart from the the one that you're going to hear where it was produced by Steve, and the one that we played earlier, Beneath It All, that was produced by Richie, and he sort of, it's really lovely actually to go into a studio and do that with somebody, have someone kind of contribute things to your song and add that bit of, say, oh, why don't you try this harmony, sing it like this or whatever, because you're on your own doing things and you're just doing what you think sounds right. It's really lovely to get that outside perspective.
That might just be the one thing that you do differently than everybody else, or
Yeah.
have done, right? Like, because a lot of
Yeah.
the people that have been on here, they're just in their house doing it with their little setup, right?
Yeah.
To have that experience is kind of special at this point, right?
Yeah. No, it is absolutely. Yeah.
Well, yeah, tell us about Hungry Ghost a little more before we go and play it.
So Hungry Ghost, I said that I was proud of it. It was one of those songs that was kind of percolating for quite a long time. I had the idea for the sort of verse, the chords for the verse, and I kind of couldn't quite make it work. And I had an idea for the chorus again, and I couldn't quite make it work. But I felt it was like I felt for me it was a sort of special thing, the chord progression and so on. So I wanted the lyrics to be really kind of meaningful, I suppose. So it took me a while to kind of to get it. And then so it's sort of sounds a little bit like Snow Patrol. I think it's sort of inspired by Snow Patrol, and also Jimmy Eat World are another big influence.
Yeah, we know them over here too. Yeah, that's great.
There's an element of that, and so I could waffle on for ages about it, but essentially it's about kind of the idea of being forgiving of yourself, and inspired by people that I knew or know, I should say. I know, I suppose, myself a little bit, and have faced difficulties in terms of mental health, in terms of that kind of stuff. There's and just that idea of being kind to yourself. First line is take the time to show some kindness to yourself, and forgiving yourself. Also, maybe kind of trying to talk through things, speaking to people. I don't want to sound too cheesy, but like the chorus is, it might hurt like hell, but it could serve you well. So like it could be difficult, it could be painful to sort of face demons, face issues, but in the end, it's hopefully worth it. So yeah.
Well, though, I mean, those are very important kind of like topics in today's day and age, right? Let's hear it. Let's go roll it.
Thank you.
Take the time to show some kindness to yourself and understand. The unraveling is the hardest part. Up there the atmosphere is thin, and here redemption from everything. Take a breath and let it out, and it might hurt like hell, but it could serve you well. All the times you tried, all the words unkind, and never be enough. There's still glue and twine to bind you together. A thoughtless act won't bring it back, won't make the pictures disappear. Name the demons love and faith and hope, and it might hurt like hell, but it could serve you well, and it might hurt like hell, but it could serve but it could serve you well. Take the time to show some kindness to yourself and understand there's still glue and twine to bind you back.
Welcome back to the Put Up, everybody. I'm A.K.A. the Wizard, and we have Lewis Stevenson all the way from Scotland with us today.
Hello.
And the song you just heard is Hungry Ghost, a crazy message about being okay with yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Offering yourself a little bit of slack when it comes to like mental health and about life and being hard on yourself, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. Making mistakes and yeah, for sure. Exactly.
Yeah, so tell us about your art. How do you connect to people, make it relatable to them?
I don't know. I suppose I don't. Do you know? It's sometimes I kind of some of my songs about sort of very specific things, like specific stories. I sort of said earlier about working quite hard on the lyrics, and I suppose I kind of try to work hard on, or try to work on making those lyrics kind of about those stories, but also connecting to some sort of general thing as well, if that makes sense, or making those stories maybe not so specific that it doesn't like. So my friend, I've got the song I sort of mentioned about like my friend, inspired by him. It's not, I'm not using his name. I'm not sort of, it's not about his life. It's kind of about him, but it's also sort of general, that it could be, it's sort of could
so
apply.
helping it like apply to other people kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. People could connect with that thing, and I've had that sort of feedback from other people as well. People sort of said that the story, because they're stories, we can sort of connect with them about in a sort of deeper meaning, deeper level, I suppose. And yeah, so I suppose that's one way. I mean, I also try not to think too much about that in a way as well. I kind of try and just sort of write the songs and express what I want to express, and sort of hope that it does connect with people. And then I suppose and I suppose if we're sort of talking about more generally, when I'm playing live, I try, can be slightly troublesome actually. Sometimes you play sort of gigs where you've got kind of 20 minutes. There's quite a lot of my songs are quite long songs, sort of 4 minutes or so on, and also I feel like I want to tell the stories. I want to have a bit of an introduction to the songs. Like Bruce Springsteen is a massive influence on me, a huge influence, and I think it comes from him, from that sort of thing. I remember very Broadway, Springsteen on Broadway, which was a few years ago, watching that and just being blown away by that and thinking, that's amazing. I know that's a very specific kind of show he was doing, but when he plays live, he does do the intros to the songs and tells a little story quite often. And so I try to do that, try and sort of share the details about the song. And I was thinking about this at a gig the other day, actually. Quite a lot of my songs are about death, about people who are dead, or about grief or whatever. And I sort of was reflecting on this, and I'd heard someone say something about how kind of when people die, they die twice. They die when they leave this earth, but they also die when people stop talking about them. And I sort of thought, there's not a conscious thing at all, but there is something maybe in me about kind of wanting to tell stories of some of these people that have passed away. So again, to come back to my friend Tony, like I like knowing that I'm keeping him alive in some way, his spirit alive, and I like them. I've got 2 kids. I like that they know who he was, that they know about this mad red-haired guy from Edinburgh who is a bit crazy, and or my grandfather as well, sort of keeping a little bit of him out there in the world. So there's something there, I suppose. I think that's something that maybe a lot of people can connect to.
Nice. And what's the takeaway from all of it? What are you hoping they feel? What are you hoping they get from your art when you release it?
Wow, that's a good question. I hope they feel something. I hope they feel like they're not alone in whatever they're feeling, that there's someone else out there that shares that emotion, whatever they're feeling in that moment. I hope that they kind of can feel connected to something bigger. I'm not sure what that is. I don't mean sort of God or anything. I just mean, some bigger part of the human experience. I hope they're moved in a little way. Maybe I hope that they maybe feel a little bit of spark of hope, spark of joy, spark of something as well.
Nice.
So I've gone a bit serious and philosophical.
Okay, so what projects are you working on right now? What's next for you? What can people expect to see from you next?
I'm not a very prolific person in terms of releases. I've only got sort of I think there's like 5 or 6 things maybe out on Spotify. Again, it comes back to that sort of timing thing. I have got 2 songs that are sort of in the bag that I kind of want to release, but there's this whole thing about sort of trying to release it at the right time, or a release strategy, whatever. I could chuck them on Spotify tomorrow, but I don't want to just sort of chuck it out in the void. And so there are 2 songs that I wrote very recently, just in August, and then I recorded very quickly just at home. And they're a bit, you asked about kind of how I describe my style, that they're actually a bit different to my other songs. I kind of went a bit all in when I was recording them.
So we can expect something new.
Yeah, something a bit different. They basically sound like they've been recorded by a full band, but they're not. They've been recorded just by me. But it's both of them. They're a bit bigger and a bit louder. Basically, there's some distorted guitars in there. There's a bit of kind of
nice.
I sort of describe them a little bit as, or think of them as, a bit sort of cinematic and a bit sort of epic. I hope other people agree. But so I'm going to try and get them out. And then we've got another song that I recorded again with Richie a while ago. That's a little bit more in the sort of folky kind of vibe. I want to get that out as well. And I've got lots of songs still in my head that I want to record, that I want to kind of get down and get out there. So I'm hoping to sort of have a few moments of being able to get the A.K.A 2020 out and get things down into Logic.
Yeah, heck yeah. Okay, so how can people that might want to? Sorry.
No, I was just going to say the other exciting thing actually is that.
Oh yeah, tell us.
I've don't know if you know elasticStage.com. It's a sort of vinyl.
I have, yeah, like the one-off vinyl thing where you can just like order them, right?
Yeah, print on demand. So I did that a few weeks ago. I've not actually received my copy of it yet, so I've not been sort of saying anything about it. But it is up there on Elastic Stage. You can buy. So it's a collection of 4 of the songs that are already out there on Spotify. But I kind of really, I just wanted to do it for me really, so I could get
like a real one in your hands, right?
But it's available for people. I'll be sort of posting links on my socials and so on, but it's available there for people to order if they.
Yeah, they have like a marketplace for it, right? Like they put you up a little like store section or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a vinyl and there's a CD. My dad actually has bought a CD already, so he's got his CD, but the vinyl obviously takes longer to make. So that's out there, and I'm quite pleased and quite proud of kind of. I spent a bit of time on the artwork and so on. So that's up there. I'm also going to get some stuff on Bandcamp. I'm not on Bandcamp yet. I'm going to put some stuff on Bandcamp.
Nice, yeah. They do a similar thing where you can like put merch on there and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So that's there. But yeah, the two. I'm excited about these 2 newer, different sounding songs kind of coming out and seeing what people make of them.
Yeah, heck yeah. So tell everybody about how they can get a hold of you. Where's your home base? If they wanted to collaborate with you, where would they go to like contact you, all that kind of stuff?
The easiest thing to do would be to go to, I've got a website, sort of fairly simple website, but it's just lewisstevenson.net.
And it's down below actually, I think here in the live stream today.
You can get to my TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, whatever there, and you'll be able to contact me through there as well. But social's probably the best place to sort of get in touch, like TikTok or Instagram. If anyone did want to collaborate, then brilliant. If anyone out there happens to be in Scotland and lives in Inverness, then give me a shout. Or if you see me playing in Edinburgh or Glasgow or anywhere, then obviously I love. It's amazing to sort of speak to people at gigs and stuff. So I always love speaking to people after gigs and having a chat with them and so on. But yeah, TikTok and Instagram would be the place to start, which you can get to from my website.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, anybody watching, like, he makes great content. I watch it all the time, and I'm always just locked in watching it, you know.
I think I'm quite lucky in some ways. I live in Inverness in the heart of the Highlands of Scotland. I'm surrounded by some pretty stunning landscapes. I can go out and make a little clip with some beautiful mountains or sunsets or whatever, which is really good. I mean, I'm literally sort of 10 minutes drive from Loch Ness. I've not seen Nessie yet, but there's a lot of beauty around me, which I can use for content, which is cool. But thank you so much for saying that.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. Well, I mean, that's it for the interview. It's been amazing talking to you.
Yeah, and you, thank you so much. It's lovely to come and sort of chat about myself for an hour.
No, and it's great for other people that are watching to get to hear your story and be able to connect with you on a deeper level than just hearing your music, right?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's what I like in artists as well. I mean, again, going back to when I was younger, I used to read all the sort of music press and find out all about all the interviews with my favorite bands and artists. I know, I still do love reading interviews with people. It's an important part of the whole sort of process, I suppose. I suppose I should also just say I am on Spotify as well. Just Lewis Stevenson, I think, on Spotify, and other streaming services are available.
Yeah, heck yeah. And it's like the magic of technology has allowed us to just like imprint an interview online like we are. It's perfect. Wow. It stays there forever. People can keep going and viewing it.
So yeah, it's wild. We're living. I feel like we're living in the future. We're living in some sort of Star Trek future.
Well, thank you for coming on today, man. Honestly.
No, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so glad that we sort of made that connection through Instagram and
yeah. How did you find us?
I can't remember. Somebody was asking me this earlier. I can't remember. I think you must have just come up on my feed somewhere on Instagram and
okay.
I gave you a
It's interesting. Yeah, like we're finding that like the search engines are picking us up and stuff now today. So it's been an interesting ride for sure. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for coming on. We'll end it there. Everybody else that's been watching, have a great afternoon on the rest of your Sunday or whatever day of the week you're watching it. If you're watching it after it aired.
Yeah.
But thanks again for coming on and sayonara. We're going to have a great afternoon too. Cheers.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, man.